Thank you so much, my friends, for taking time to click on this video. And I just want to thank you as well for subscribing, for liking, for sharing, and for joining MelVee Broadcasting Network as we spread the everlasting gospel to the ends of the world. I also just want to thank you for the blessing of resources that God has given you, which you have shared with us. As I've always said, and I want to say again, MelVee's work continues to grow in leaps and bounds, and our gospel footprint has gone around the world. It is for that reason, my friends, that we need more resources to keep this ministry growing and impacting more people, and changing lives along the way. I don't want to spend a lot of your time, but I want to come back at the end of this video to share with you a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that I'm hoping you can join us to bring it to pass, because I believe and I feel it, my friends, that God is calling you and us to do something that will impact this world forever. So in the meantime, I just want you to relax, whisper a prayer to God, and enjoy this video. I'll see you on the end of this video. Stay tuned and God bless. Greetings, MelVee family. I hope I find you well wherever you are. I'm Melusi Ndhlalambi, your host, and today I have something very special, something that we thank the Lord we're able to sit down and talk on this, your show, MelVee Talks, where we talk about anything to do with end times, the gospel, and most importantly, the kingdom of God. Today I have a special guest that I would like to introduce to you. He's a brother I've watched from afar. We have communicated and social media has brought us together. He's passionate about writing and publication and preaching and taking the gospel to the ends of the highways and the byways of this life. I've known him as a preacher man, but today I want to introduce him as well as a geologist, a well-educated man, but a man who's dedicated his life and his time to the preaching of the gospel. I'm talking about none other than Babalo Vala. Greetings, my brother, and how are you?
I'm all right, Melda. Thank you for having me, and greetings to the viewers.
You know, this is special to us and our family and our friends out there, because you're very far from where we are.
That's correct.
You are in the tip of the continent of Africa.
Cape Town.
Tell us about that city and why you find yourself in that city.
Sure. I was born and bred in the Eastern Cape, the Karoo part of the Eastern Cape, in a place called Kredok, which is 4 hours away from PE. And I moved to Cape Town more than 10 years ago.
All right.
To pursue my studies in exploration geochemistry, or geology, if you please.
All right.
Yeah, so I've been in Cape Town now for over 10 years. So that's how I got there.
Let's talk about the young Babalo in the Karoo. What do you remember about your childhood years?
Sure. My childhood years, you are bringing back so many memories. All right, so the only thing I can remember, not the only thing, there are many things,
yes,
but one element that defines my childhood is hardship.
All right.
Hardship and dedication, commitment, and discipline. So when I reflect, I conclude that those experiences were designed to develop perseverance and resilience.
Yes.
Yes. So that's what I can remember.
Tell us about your family. I mean, someone is watching this from Jamaica, from America, Canada. They have no clue about the Karoo. The Karoo, where in this world? Tell us a little bit about your people. You are from the esteemed nation of Amaxhosa.
That is correct.
Tell us about the Amaxhosa people, your people in Eastern Cape, and the family where you come from. Who are they?
All right. Yeah, so I come from I would say it's in the border, not in the border per se. I would say it's in the border.
All right.
Of the Ciskei and the Transkei. So we are in the Karoo part of it, the dry part of the Eastern Cape.
So these are the old apartheid demarcations and homelands.
That is correct.
All right.
Yeah, so it was colonized by the British. Yeah, so you have Xhosas, Afrikaners, and then Coloureds, what they call Coloureds.
Yes.
So I grew up I'm a Xhosa. but I grew up in the colored community.
All right.
Yeah, so the first language I learned, it was Afrikaans.
All right.
Yeah, so it is Afrikaans. I grew up with Afrikaans. I was never taught Xhosa.
All right.
I mean, in a school setup, I was never taught Xhosa. But I grew up with Afrikaans, and I used to mingle with the coloreds and the black people, and also the white folks, what we call the Boere or the Afrikaner. So it's a farmland, not a farmland, but it's the economy thereof is driven by the agricultural sector.
Yes.
So that's a brief description of what Credog is about, and it also has a very rich political heritage.
All right.
I mean, you have the Credog 4.
Yes.
The Mefugoniwe, Talata. That's what Credog is known for politically.
Yes.
It was a mover and the shaker in the times.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I grew up under that environment and that influence. Other than that, life is generally very cool and quiet.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the population is less than 50,000.
All right.
So it's a small town. And of course, inequality is there. You have the rich and the poor.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a middle class, just rich and poor. That's it.
All right. Those who own the means of production.
That is correct.
And those who are laborers.
That is correct.
All right. It sets a context to what we're going to talk about to our viewers out there. He's a well-known publisher, runs a publishing company. Now, tell us about your journey from your people to Cape Town. What made you move to Cape Town? Was it studies mainly?
Yes, it was the studies. When I had finished my matric, I decided to move to Cape Town. And how that happened, I believe it was a miracle. Because I never even applied to go to Cape Town, one of the universities there. However, providentially, when I saw my marks and my teachers as well, they were like, no, man, you can't sit here. You need to move and go and study. We see potential in you. So you tap into that. So that's how I got to Cape Town. I had no cent. The only thing I had was my bags. I had no residence. I had not applied. I had nothing, literally nothing.
All right.
So, but I moved by faith. At the time, I was a Catholic. So I moved to Cape Town. But I I was convinced that I'm going to get this thing. Either way, yeah. Right. So I moved to Cape Town. It only took 2 days. I had not applied. I had nothing, but everything was processed within that time. Of course, we had someone we knew at the university at the time. I only met him there, but I heard he's from Credog.
All right.
So I moved to the university campus and finalized my registrations, and I got a place. I also. Apparently, there was only one spot left for geology first years. All right. And there was one room remaining with one bed. Whenever I think of this, I can just attest that it was God doing this. Yeah. I knew that I have to do this thing because I could see, providentially I could see I'm being led here. To pursue this. But by that time, you were saying you were a Catholic. That's correct. So tell me a little bit about your parents, your siblings, and how you were raised, and the role of faith, because you do mention that at that point, you could see that God is opening up an avenue for you to be there. So tell me about your family setup and how you were brought up and the role of faith, finding yourself as a Catholic. All right. My entire family are Catholics, professing Catholics. From the time I was born, the first school I attended was a Catholic school from creche. That's where I was taught Afrikaans by the nuns. And then they realized that, no, this guy knows Afrikaans, then all the other languages. Let's keep him in this school. So I moved. I've been a Catholic forever, up until there was a change in my life as time progressed. So... yeah, and then with my parents, as I mentioned, they are staunch Catholics, especially my mother. My father is not really religious. All right. He's also not very cultural. He's just, I don't know what to call him, maybe secular. Yeah, it's just secular.
Yes.
Yeah, so
he's just there.
He's just there.
He's in the community.
Yeah,
he's
very,
not.
very quiet man,
All
reserved. Right. Yeah, but there was a separation between the two. So they separated. Then I was left with my mother, my other siblings, my sister, 2 sisters and a brother, older brother. So yeah, I mean everyone is Catholic, as I mentioned.
All right.
Yeah, so that's just briefly.
So faith in your life from an early age until you get to university. At that point, how religious were you?
Maybe I should mention this before I come to that.
All right.
To sustain the family, I mean, that was one of my tasks, to sell vegetables. I would go door to door, knock on doors and sell vegetables.
Wow.
I had to do that and finish that. Otherwise, there will be problems in the house, because my mother was very strict and stuff.
Right.
Because we were depending on that for sustenance. I mean, yeah, so on the side of religion, I think that is one of the things that kept me. There were many evils in the city, though in the town, though I'm saying it is quiet. It's not really quiet. There is evil, there is iniquity. There are a lot of things that are happening.
Yeah.
However, I believe that devotion to those religious tasks or duties kept me from many of the evils. I mean, when I finished my matric, there was a call for me to be sent to the seminary and study to be a priest. Of course, I opposed that. I don't know why I did, but at the time, because priests were not allowed to marry, that's why I refused. I said, no. Because I had girlfriends at the time, so I was not willing because of that. That was my only reason.
All right.
There wasn't any other reason. So I refused that. Apart from that, I was an altar server, altar boy from a very young age until I led. They call it a chief server. Till I led. Then from there, people used to beg me to go to seminary. I mean, there were people that were in seminary. They would call special meetings just to beg me, please, man, can you please consider being a priest, a Catholic priest? But then I said, no.
Yeah. Was it because of the girl?
Of course. It's because of the girl. It's because of the girl.
All right. So here you are. You are in Cape Town. You enroll into geology. You finish the degree. What was in your mind as you were finishing this degree? Because this is who you have become, a geologist. And when did you come in contact with the Adventist message?
Right.
And obviously out of university, what was your journey like, and where were you planning to go and do?
All right. So my chief motivation in my studies, I used to study a lot. Because what motivated me is my background.
All right.
And I had this one thought in mind. It was not God. I didn't have the consciousness of God to say I'm doing this because God say I must do it. But one thing that was pushing me is I need to leave poverty. I need to save my family from poverty. That is one thing that was driving me. And I used to study until I get sick, in fact. I remember when I was doing my second year, I used to study, and I had so many achievements. Yeah. I was the second in my class, the geology class. Those who know me can attest to that. I was just getting straight A's. But I was not eating much enough because the life of a student. Yes. Considering the background as well. I can almost imagine there was bread in that room. Sometimes. And some bananas, maybe some fruits and a lot of juices. Sometimes yes. I'll have bread. When I talk about poverty, abject poverty, I experienced that. Yeah. You'll have meal as an example. Yes. And you don't want, man, I only have this 2.5. And it must sustain me for the rest of the month. Wow. So if I cook it, I must make it liquidish. All right. This will be my breakfast, my lunch, and my supper. Wow. So that was my experience, basically. So that, for me, created a lot of anger. And this determination that I'm not staying where I am, I'm moving. And then I was getting straight A's. And And I had many professors recruiting me to come and do postgrad and do PhD with them.
Yeah.
So I had so many, and I mean, even with sports, I was playing sports as well.
All right.
I was playing for the university.
Football?
Football, yes.
Right.
I was winning trophies there. I was a goalkeeper.
All right.
Yeah, goalkeeper of the season. That was, I mean, there was a guy who was working for SAFA where I was recruited. There was an opportunity to play for Ajax Cape Town. Santos was there. And I mean, the guys I used to play with, some of them even went to Germany. I had that opportunity.
Wow.
Even with cricket, I was playing cricket. I remember going to the nets to practice. And the coach saw me. I was not practicing with the guys, but I was just practicing alone.
Yeah.
The guy saw me and was like, man, you are talented.
Wow.
Can you consider coming and playing for the school? I mean, there was an opportunity for funding and stuff like that. But now, I did not see any success in those things, to be honest. I wanted to study.
All right.
Yeah, I would spend a day, when I tell people, I always tell people, like when I try to motivate other people.
Man, you could have been the first cricketer. Makai is now well known. You could have been the Vala from cricket or football.
It was possible.
But would you agree with me that maybe lack of exposure from your background blinded you on the opportunities that sport presented?
That is true.
Because I can tell you, in my time, I was a footballer. I wanted to go for trials with the national team. My father said, I'm paying fees for you to go to school. What is this football? I was talented in art. And I didn't see value in that, but academics was, because our backgrounds often would wink us.
That is true.
To not see the opportunities that sport has.
That is true. I can attest. I agree to that 100%. If maybe, as you are saying, the background was different, I would have grabbed the opportunities. I mean, the guys that were, the influence I was surrounded with.
Yeah.
These are people that were playing for national teams. I mean, guys from Zimbabwe. They were recruited from the national team. And I was training with those guys now.
Wow.
And I mean, I was performing even there.
Wow.
But I had this thing that, no, man, I need to study. Because I was a nerd, I don't know, but yeah, but I used to study a lot, maybe 10 hours a day.
I think you were.
I was. I would study and not eat enough.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I would literally fast.
All right.
I remember during my second year, I fell sick and I couldn't study. And one guy who was an Adventist saw me and said, man, what's happening? I couldn't walk even. I was swollen, couldn't take a shower. And I played the game and we won it yesterday. And I had studied so hard because I used to study for 10, 15 hours. Sometimes I would just sit on a chair and just study. And I jokingly say this to my classmates that the guys now were in other positions. Others are mining geologists.
All right.
Others are managers in mines and stuff. I used to tell them jokingly, like, man, you remember you have what you have now because I used to tutor you guys. And that is the fact. Yeah. So people will knock on my door at 3 a.m. just to say, man, can you explain this thing? I didn't study. Others will party and stuff. So I would stay away from that because I understood my background and I wanted to study. So I felt sick. I remember feeling sick. And on that day, that's when the health message was first preached to me.
All right.
Adventist health message. The guy said, man, the way you look, the way you're walking, I couldn't walk and I would struggle to breathe and stuff because of malnourishment and overwork, overcommitment to things. I had so many medals, so many trophies. And I felt that this is a turning point.
Yeah.
And then I met this guy. I remember it was a Saturday. Sunday afternoon.
All right.
We were going to write exams and I was ready, I would say. But I never felt ready. I would just study. So I met this guy and he was coming and I was going to what they call the bar and the tavern.
Yes.
Go and buy airtime and phone my parents and say, look, I am sick. Then I met this guy. He was like, man, the way you look, man. When is the last time you ate fruits?
Wow.
I'm not even thinking of those things.
Wow.
When is the last time you these things are 5 rand, man. I'm sure you can afford these things. That's when the health message was preached to me. No one preached it to me, ever.
Yeah.
Vegetables and stuff. No. Of course, I studied biology. From that time, I made changes in my diet.
All right.
And I could actually see changes because I used to study a lot. So the amount of time I would spend in trying to understand the concepts was now limited.
Wow.
Not limited, but it was reduced.
Shorter.
It was shortened.
You can actually understand things much quicker.
Yeah. So that's when I realized that, okay, this thing works. But I didn't even care what he believes in. You know, his Catholic mindset.
Yeah.
We are the true church. We are the mother church. All of you are
must
daughters.
come back home.
Yes. You can't listen to a Protestant. What is it that they can tell you? That was the mindset.
All right.
So this gentleman, from that time, I saw changes, and I didn't. The guy said, "You must rest. You must eat.
All right.
1, 2, 3."
Right.
I just followed that.
Wow.
And I rested. That exam, I performed the greatest because I didn't. That was my best exam ever.
Wow.
I got straight A's and B's. I only got 1 C as the lowest mark. I remember there was an exam that people were writing. Only 2 people passed, and I was one of them.
Wow.
And there was 52 of us.
Wow.
So almost with campus dynamics and the
everyone
characters of people. And I mean, there are people, some of the lecturers who are difficult for no reason. So they will make things difficult. But I passed that. Of course, I passed it with 52. But I passed it. So when I reflect, I believe that was the first stages of getting the Adventist message.
So you leave university. You are now graduated. Did you work anywhere? How did you get into ministry? Because I want us to come to a point where you get full time into ministry. How did that happen?
All right. So as I was on my way to complete my first degree, the guy who preached to me the health message started inviting me to Bible studies. I just turned those things down because I was busy. And the guy used to press, he used to push until I felt annoyed and said, let me just go to this thing. And then he was like, look, it's my birthday. I remember it was the 4th of February.
All right.
He was like, look, just do it for me, for this.
Wow.
Come to church, man, for Vespers.
For my birthday.
For my birthday. Then I was like, okay, it's fine, I'm going to do it. So he collected all of us, the group. I had formed a group, a tutoring group called the Members.
All right.
Where I would teach, I mean, some people won't believe this, but where I would teach my classmates, those who were struggling with the concepts.
Yes.
Yeah, so we called it the Members, and we will help each other.
All right.
Members of the Geological Society. So that ambition was very strong. I mean, I decided to go, and there was a guy who was preaching there. Zooks, I'm sure you know him.
Yes.
I usually host him in one of the...
I'm sure he must be watching this. Thank you so much for that message, my brother. Yes.
Yeah, so the brother was preaching there on Revelations, talking about Catholicism.
Yes.
This is devilish. This thing of Mary, this is paganism of Easter. Hey!
And you are sitting there, you are Catholic. Did you get angry?
I was very angry. I'm like, this is not preaching. This is not preaching.
This is scandalous.
I was very angry. And I mean, I just couldn't wait for the service to end. And we left. I was not the only one who was offended.
All of your members.
The guys I was with. Because others were Anglicans, others were Pentecostals.
Yeah.
Lenkonzo kapiwe. Akushunyayelwa apa. Bayathukisa abantu.
Yes.
Criticize the other churches.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was the conclusion. Wow. And the guy was like, "No, guys, please don't leave." What? We are done now. I mean, the church is over.
Yeah.
He says, "No, come. I prepared something there at the house." So the guy had dried meat there.
Wow.
A lot of food that he had prepared for us because it's his birthday.
Yes.
And we are eating this food and we are looking at him like, this guy is... How could he take us to church so that they can harm us?
And then he comes and then he feeds us.
Yeah, we were like, this guy is not serious. So we ate, and I mean, afterwards we left and we continued. And I thought this whole thing is done and we are angry. This guy was not done with us.
Wow.
Now we was pressing for Bible studies Tuesday. I thought, and then I was thinking, man, I thought Friday. Now you want Tuesday in my busy schedule. Wow. I'm also playing soccer. I'm also lifting weights and stuff. Yeah. A lot of things I was doing.
Yeah.
So the brother was like, no, man, please just come once, just to taste. Yes. At that time, I've never read the Bible before.
Okay.
I never owned one. You know, most we used the
catechism, yes, your other book, priests,
yeah, that is divided into 3 seasons. It's called APC, what?
Yes.
Yeah, so we use that book. So now I'm in this Bible study, and this Dr. George Silupane, sure you know him.
Silupane, yes.
Yeah, so he's doing the studies there. And can you turn to this page? I'm like, I don't even know where Matthew is. I don't even know where Isaiah is. These people are turning and I'm turning. And I'm like,
and they're turning you around.
I'm like, this is too much for me. Then after the Bible study, this guy comes to me, does a short interview. Did you understand? I said, yeah, I did. Just to dismiss him.
All right.
Then I left. I said, I am done with that. Then he calls me again next week. Please come. He sends me an SMS. I said, my brah, that was enough. You can't. So until we fought, the guy was like, no, please come, man.
Yes.
Then I decided. I don't know. My heart was being softened, and I believe it was the work of the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
I decided to go.
Just give it a go.
I tried the second time. I tried again. They gave me DVDs now. And I decided, then they were like, please watch, we're going to ask you questions about this. And I know this guy, he won't give me rest. Then one day, I just said, after I'm done studying, now I'm nice. I used to study until I feel tired, and then I would say,
let me now watch
this is it. I've studied now.
Yeah.
I must feel the hair, like the head must be a bit
spinning
heavy.
around,
Then I know I've studied.
Okay.
That was the obsession with the academics. Until I became an atheist, by the way, because of the science, evolution.
Yes.
And one day I watched this DVD. I just put it in. Maybe just want to sleep. Then I put it in just to sleep. I went to bed. And this thing was playing. You know, almost the DVDs rewind.
Yes.
So I put it on rewind. So it was playing the entire... So it had 17 lectures. It was 17 lectures. So, you know, almost that's...
It keeps playing.
It keeps playing for the entire morning. So I remember it was 3 a.m. or 4. Can't remember the exact time.
All right.
Then I heard someone talking. Like, hey, there's someone talking here. This person is speaking. He's speaking. And I'm like, man, who is talking here? And I said, and this guy, and what he's saying sounds very interesting. Then I decided to have a look. I'm like, oh, is this DVD playing? Then he mentioned something very powerful.
Yeah.
Then I was like, yo, that is powerful. Then I rewinded a bit. Then I listened. What did he say before? Then I decided to listen to the entire thing. 4 a.m.
Wow.
Then I listened. Then I went to the next one. I listened to the next one. The next one, the next one, the next one. I was like, yo, this thing is most powerful.
All right.
From there, I went and I told my friends.
Yeah.
My other friends, I skipped him. I went to my other friends because I had a lot of friends back then. Even though I was struggling poor, but I never used to. There was a point now because of the sport that makes you more.
Yes, you know a lot of people now and friends are around you in college. Yes.
And things will just come to me. I don't have to look for them.
Yeah.
Things will just come. So I was going to these people, the guys, telling them about what I heard there. Guys, this thing is powerful. Then I would explain this thing of Revelation. It was a Revelation seminar.
All right.
And I explained to them. This
Who was the presenter? Do you remember?
Mark Finley.
Mark Finley, yes.
That's why I still love him.
All right.
And I'm like, this is powerful.
Wow.
Then I was explaining to the guys. And I would invite people to come to my room and watch this thing.
Wow.
And people would come. I remember there was a guy from Congo. He came and
Yes.
I cooked for him and let's sit, man, and watch.
Yeah.
That's how we were living. If I have something...
And you're not even an Adventist by this time.
I'm not.
You're already evangelizing.
I'm telling people. I'm telling everyone. Because this thing is powerful. And, I mean, and he was like, yo, I never knew such truth. Is like in a French tone. I never knew such truth ever existed from Congo, the northern part of Congo.
Wow.
And from there was a room we used to go and the guys would drink, smoke, and play
just
games.
Hang out. Yeah.
That's where I used to go as well.
It's a dining room and it's a common room for everyone.
When I'm done, it's someone's room. So when I'm done, what do you call it, studying, I would go there just to relax, or go to the tavern just to relax. I mean, so I went to the same room. Yeah. And I said to these guys, yay, you haven't heard anything. Come to my room and listen to this thing. Wow. So the guys were interested. They wanted to know, what is this thing about? Yeah. They watched with me. They were like, yo, this is powerful. Wow. Then, from there, I went home to the Eastern Cape. All right. I decided I need to go and meet the Catholic priest. Okay. And share with him what I learned. Because this is deep. So I went to church. I was still going to church on Sunday. So as I went into the mass and I saw the symbolism, things that were said, all the things that were preached in that sermon were coming to life. And you're realizing now, this is it. This is it. And I was like, I need to come out of this. But before I do, I need to talk to that man. After the service, I spoke to him, organized a meeting, went to his house, 10 a.m. I was there, and we had a discussion. I wrote down before the day all the questions I had based on what I had them. Before that, even before going there, I started talking to my family and said, have you heard about this? Wow. And I was just explaining the book of Revelation to them. Wow. Even though I didn't know everything, but just the concepts. And I was not paging with them. All right. I was just talking. And up until my mother cried. Staunch. On the same day, she cried. She was like, man, I'm too old now to leave this church. Wow. My sister was like, but this is the truth this guy is saying. Wow. Then I knew that Tuesday, for that meeting, I just need that man now. Yes. So I went to the man and I asked him so many questions. Yeah. I asked him about baptism. I asked him about all the questions I had on the Holy Communion and all of that stuff. Yes. He answered. Did you ask about Sunday and the Sabbath? I asked him everything. You asked him about the beast, the mark of the beast. In fact, I only asked him 4 questions. Okay. When I recall now, I only asked him 4 questions. All right. And from those 4 questions, he was just talking. I was just listening. He just started talking. Then he says, this and this we took from paganism. All right. This and this we took from. I was like, yo. Even things I didn't ask, he was just explaining. I remember it was Father Beckley. That's his name, the priest's name. Yes. Very liberal guy. All right. And then he explained everything. And I was like, yo, now I've made up my mind. So this is true. This is true after all. Yes. From that day, I never set foot. So you came back to Cape Town? I came back to Cape Town. There are Adventists most there. A number of Adventist churches. Yes. But I didn't attend. I just came back to finish my studies. All right. Now my mindset had changed because I was also involved in politics. All right. That's another long story. I'm sure we'll have another part to talk about. I want us to quickly move to maybe fast forward a little bit, a few years down the line. How did you get involved into... maybe let me not even ask that, because the moment you had the DVD, you started evangelizing before you were even into the faith. But talk to us about what you are currently doing and why you are doing what you're doing and you're not in geology. Right. Why really did you get into full-time ministry and you're not doing
full-time geology, which is a high-paying career with your A's and your B's.
Yeah, so I believe I'm not practicing as a geologist now because of providence and the calling that God placed on my life. When it comes to trying, I've tried everything to stay in the field, but God called me in different ways, through different experiences. When I say different ways, I mean different experiences. I studied geology for 8 years.
Yeah. 8 years?
Yeah, 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 8 years. I studied.
And you left all that?
I left it.
Why?
So now I'm full-time. I'm a full-time evangelist, full-time missionary. I believe God has called me for that. Yeah, I'm doing it full-time. But my view of full-time might not be necessarily someone else's view of full-time.
But Babalo, I want us to make this very plain and clear, because when we say God has called us, someone out there is like, what is that? So here is how I see it. Correct me if I'm wrong. God had a teacher, a preacher in you, but you just didn't know it. Here you were teaching your friends geology. You had members. You call them geology members. You're teaching, you're tutoring. All right? Here you are, you hear this DVD from Mark Findlay. Before you even convince anybody else or ask for permission, let me say that, from anyone else, here you are telling everyone and asking questions. God had an evangelist in you. It's just that you didn't know about it. And so the passion to teach and the passion to want to acquire knowledge is what God used and filled your cup up. Now you are sharing and writing and publishing books. I see you have published quite a number of books already. So God has filled you, and it's your passion. You can do this even in your sleep. I mean, true. God woke you up at 4 a.m.
That is true. That is true.
So when we say a calling, what I see from what you're telling me is that there was this passion God had in you that he simply tapped into and connected with the right message.
That is true.
That's all there is. So for our viewers out there, don't look for some that electrical current and some thunder and lightning and for your calling. Just simply look at what is the passion God is exposing you to. Follow that passion and God will be with you. So let's talk about the books you've published. I'm with a book here. Maybe this is a long story. We might need another hour for it.
All right.
You currently working as you formed a publishing house. And you are publishing under, you're calling it here the End Time Publications. I know it's a long story and I'm asking you to compress it into a very short space of time. You believe God has called you into preaching, and I see you standing in the street corners of Cape Town. You're telling me about your train rides and preaching in the trains. But you decide to publish under your publishing company, if I can put it that way, or ministry. Tell us about that journey and what does End Time Publications aim to do, and maybe some of the books you have. I'm going to need us to talk about this one. All right. The Trade Unions, Revolutions, and the Mark of the Beast. This is your latest publication.
That's the latest, that's correct.
Yeah, tell us about that ministry, the publishing house, and the books you've published. But before you do that, there are two of my friends out there. We always fight over this thing. The printed page versus the digital age. What's better?
That's a difficult question. But also, it can be simplified.
Yes.
All right. Maybe I should talk about the journey to...
this one.
Yeah.
Yes.
First attend to that question. I did not just wake up and decide to write. There was a stream of events that led me to write.
All right.
I mentioned earlier, I started telling my friends, that is to preach, to tell them and stuff. And then I did door-to-door on campus.
All right.
For 4 full years.
Wow.
Door-to-door.
In the dormitories.
Every room you can think of, I've been there at that university, either to do a Bible study or to leave a tract. But now in that work, and I got involved now in missionary work, going out of Cape Town to other parts of the country. We stay there for weeks to unentered areas to go and establish churches. That's what I started doing. At the time, even before that, I only knew one verse. That was Romans 1:16.
Yes.
Every room I go into, I just read that verse.
Yes.
And I say, let's pray.
Yes.
I couldn't explain all the other, in the initial stages of that ministry, door to door. So, but in my quest or in my work, I realized that with the literature we had, it was not really the examples that we used were not localized.
All right.
There was this gap between this truth and trying to make it more relevant to the people to the people that we.
It needed to be custom made
for the people.
For the people, yes.
So I decided now to say, look, I have these tracts I've been distributing. On the trains, I preach over 400 sermons. I was calculating the other day, 400 sermons, over 400 sermons just on the trains. Yeah. So, and the literature I was distributing there, I said, no man, there's something missing here. Let's localize it and still, you are not going to take the power from the truth. You're not going to dilute the truth by localizing it. Because even the examples that I use there are usually examples, even in the lesson study, they're examples from America.
Yeah.
So we need something local. That was my burden.
All right.
And God now impressed on my mind that I must start this company, End Time Publications.
Yeah.
So I started writing tracts. And I was now doing seminars on Revelations and Daniel.
All right. And
I would write tracts and give to the people as booklets, as notes. And then from there, I realized that, okay, from booklets, let's do pamphlets. And then I did pamphlets. Then from pamphlets, I want to do a magazine. I did a magazine. Then from the magazine, I saw, okay, let me maybe write a book. Because I didn't just write a book, but I've been collecting notes. I've been collecting data for all these years. Then I decided to write a book. So for now, from then and now, I've published 7 books.
Wow.
The first book I published was, The Gates of Hell Prevail. That's the title.
Yeah.
Where I'm unpacking Matthew, chapter 16, where Christ is, upon this rock I'll build my church.
Yes.
And the gates of hell shall not prevail.
Yes.
So I'm using that text to explain the forces of evil that have been fighting against the church.
All right.
The fact that Christ is saying the gates of hell shall not prevail, it means the church must be subjected to a test. And in that book, I'm explaining the tests that the church has been subjected to in 7 clear stages, which is the 7 churches of the book of Revelations.
Exactly.
That's what I'm talking about. And then the second book I published was The Beast and Its Image. That's Revelations 13. Another book I published was on relationships. I think I have it here.
Yes.
True love versus selfishness.
You just had to write about marriage, though you are not married.
Yeah. I've come to learn that marriage is broad.
Yes.
It's very broad.
It's divine. It's a divine institution. You would remember in the Garden of Eden, that's the first institution that was given to men. And God did not take it away even after they had sinned. God did not ask them to divorce because there were lies and blame game here. But God kept it with them. So you wrote about marriage. All right. Love, friendship, true love. All right.
Yeah, true love. That's the title. But I'm contrasting it with the enemy of love, which is selfishness. Yeah. So that's what I'm.
What are the other titles you've written?
The other titles I've written is I have a book on what's the title again? A Health Reform Handbook for the Poor.
All right.
The health message was preached to me.
That was the first message preached to you.
So that's why I said, let me write something. But in my study and also interaction with people, I've realized that there's something missing in our health message.
Yes.
And that is, whenever people present the health message, there is always this statement, but this thing is expensive. So
that's true.
I'm saying if the health message is the right hand of the gospel, And the gospel is a simplifier of life's problems.
Mm.
Then it means the right hand must also simplify life.
Absolutely.
Anyone or everyone should be able to afford it.
Yes. I mean, I find it strange that we would recommend exercise to people who live in Africa who walk more than 10 kilometers just doing their normal day-to-day work.
There we go.
Why do they need a gym subscription?
There we go. There we go.
Yeah, so it's custom making it to our environment.
And that's what I'm dealing with in the book. So
but let's talk about this one.
This one, yeah.
So to our friends out there, he has written a powerful book. I hope you can see the title right there, The Mark of the Beast. And you're looking at trade unions, revolutions, and you're asking the question, what is the real threat? So maybe let me ask you that. We're not going to go in the details of this, because I'm sure you want people to buy this and to read this. And it's available. We'll give the contact details below so that you can read it. But you write such a powerful book in such a time when the world is in turmoil. But then the question is, we have so many threats. You're asking, what is the real threat? Is it COVID? Is it the New World Order? Is it the Sunday Law? What is the real threat?
The real threat is a threat of liberty of conscience.
Liberty of conscience.
That's where the threat is.
Break that down for us.
All right, I'll break it down. If you go to the book of Revelations, for example, chapter 13, the Bible speaks there about two beasts.
Yes.
The one beast comes from the sea, the other one from the earth.
From the land, yes.
Yeah, so the beast that comes from the sea is likened unto a leopard, has the feet of a bear and the mouth of a lion. And we are told that the dragon gives this beast its power, its seat, and great authority.
Yeah.
And this beast rules for 1,260 years, also 42 months, same thing, time and dividing of times, the same. If you can look at the history and the character of this beast, its chief aim is to secure the worship that is supposed to come to God to itself.
All right.
And it does so through force and deception.
Wow.
Force, that's where the threat is to liberty of conscience.
Okay.
When people are deceived, at least they still, you are not violating their liberty of conscience. But when they are
You're
forced,
just misleading them and they think they're in control. But when they are forced, it's literally taken away.
taken away.
So are you saying anything that's forced is from the beast?
I would say so. It is from the beast. It is from the pit. Let me put it this way. It is from the bottomless pit. Including
mandation of, I'm speaking as a health professional here. We have heard vaccines that are now being mandated. Can we, from your studying and writing, can we call that from the pit, bottomless pit?
Yes.
I'm putting you on the spot because these are real issues we're dealing with right now. We're not talking about vaccines, but we're talking about a principle. What is at threat? What is the real threat? Freedom of conscience.
Freedom of conscience. Freedom, I like the way Charles Spurgeon frames it when he speaks about liberty. He says liberty is the birthright of every human being, irrespective of the level or the layer in the hierarchy of power he belongs to, or the space he occupies in society. This person has this birthright called liberty, and it should never be taken away from that person.
Yes.
So with the mandatory vaccines, my view, and I believe it's a biblical view, people must be given the freedom to choose whether they want it or not.
I mean, let's talk about it, Babalo. God knows we are dying, we are deceived, we are sinful. He gives us Jesus as the panacea, the solution to our sin problem. And he doesn't force anybody. He says, whosoever wills. Adam and Eve sin. God doesn't force them into obedience. He makes them choose to live their lives. And he says, okay, fine, you've taken the devil, but here is my way. Let me clothe you. Let me give you. God does not force salvation on anybody. In fact, as a medical principle, we know even if you deserve a certain procedure, and I know it's a procedure that will make you live, I cannot force it on you. The doctor has to ask you to consent for that. If you can't consent, at least the family should. But this thing is saying whether you like it or not, you take it. That then becomes a bit of a challenge for many people. But we know that the vaccines are there to save lives and whatever. We can have a discussion for another time. But give us a synopsis of this book. So you're saying the real threat is liberty of conscience. But how do trade unions and revolutions come into this thing?
All right, let me come into that. There's a statement in Selected Messages and also Last Day Events. Ellen White says that trade unions will be one of the agencies that will bring upon this earth a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation. The time of trouble that Daniel speaks about in Daniel chapter 12. And then she continues to say that a few men will combine all the means to be obtained in certain lines of business.
Okay.
Trade unions will be formed. And those who refuse to join unions, these unions, will be marked men.
All right.
Threat on your liberty, because we are not joining the struggle of the poor, of the proletariat. So you are a threat. Sorry, yeah, you are.
Yes,
you are identified. You are marked as a threat to the cause of the revolution. So that's what I'm looking at. So in my history as an Adventist and studies, and I've not seen a book that explains how that will happen.
Okay,
The how part. And in this book, I go into the depths of that question. How will this happen? And who is in charge of trade unions? Who is driving this?
And you're saying this thing is biblical?
Yes.
It's got biblical roots. How? Where do we find it in the Bible?
All
Labor being an issue.
All right. So in this book, you will see the title of the book is Trade Unions, Revolutions, and the Mark of the Beast. So there are three concepts I'm explaining. So the first one is trade unions. So before you can talk about trade unions, you first need to talk about trade. Trade started in the book of Genesis. When God created the land, the world, the earth, He put man in the garden. That is Adam. And the Bible says He gave him work to trim the trees.
And maintain the garden.
That was his trade. But that trade was not a commodity. It had no exchange value.
Okay.
He was not selling it for a salary.
All right.
He was eating freely.
All right.
Without paying for it.
So the day someone hoarded the resources and started trading, labor unions come in.
They come in.
All right.
Then that's the first definition of trade. Trade is...
So you are saying actually industrialization perfected the skill of selling tools and labor and time.
That is correct. That is correct. And then from there, you had... But what necessitated... That's what I'm looking at in the book.
All right.
What necessitated the development of trade unions is the system of monopoly capitalism.
All right.
System of oppression. I mean, one of the scholars of socialism and communism, not to say I subscribe and believe in that, even though you have socialism, the cover here.
Yes.
Some people think that I'm pushing a socialist or communist agenda.
Yes.
But I'm of the contrary.
Amant.
Yeah. So what we are looking at here is the systems that necessitated the development of trade unions, and that system is the economics. It's the economic policies of
the countries.
Monopoly capitalism.
All right.
And which we can trace back to Rome. That's what we are talking about here.
All right.
I mean, Lenin says that Rome was founded on slavery, pursued a colonial policy, and achieved imperialism, which is the highest form of monopoly capitalism. So that's and then from there, when imperialism was entrenched as the policy of the nations, that is when trade unions were formed.
All right.
Yeah.
Supposedly to protect the interest of the poor,
workers.
But actually it's a vehicle that's being used to bring about or to facilitate the coming of a system of taking away the conscience of the people.
That is correct.
So that you belong to this structure. I don't want us to go into the depths of this book because I want people to buy it. It's right there. So if they want to buy this book, where do they get it from?
All right. Currently, we are a bookstore online, which we are still working on it. We have some few technical issues.
All right.
For now, they can just get hold of me via the End Time Publications Facebook page, where I'm able to give them details as to how to.
All right. So End Time Publications. We'll put the link right there, my friends. You will be able to get in touch with Babalo and get to read current custom-made messages for Africa. I liked it because you had a section here where you talk about South Africa. Maybe let's wind out the discussion just talking about South Africa. I was quite amazed because MelVee is a divine voice out of Africa. We want the world to know what we are going through in Africa and what's the message we have here in Africa. And you dedicate some space here where you talk about Sunday laws in South Africa. Talk to us about that.
All right. Sure. Yeah. I'll just give a brief history of South Africa in the context of Revelations.
All right.
And Daniel. All right. So the Bible speaks there about the king of the north and the king of the south in Daniel chapter 11.
Yes.
Which first it is Greece, and Greece develops into Rome. If you continue with the chapter, from verse 40, verse 39 says, he will divide the land for gain. Speaking about the king of the north, which is the papacy. Yeah. So
he will divide the land for gain. Sounds like the Berlin Conference.
There we go.
1888.
There we go.
With the Bismarck.
The king of the north. So through the system of monopoly, capitalism, or imperialism, or colonialism, the policy which they pursued, they were able to divide the land for gain. I mean, through various companies and front companies. I mean, the Knights of Malta, which was the business sector of the church. So I mean, with the Spanish and Portuguese Inquisition and all of that, the French and all.
Yeah.
So that's
the
how
French Revolution and all of that.
Yeah. So that's how they were dividing the land for gain. There was what was called the Pope's line. I think in the times of Pope Urban, around the 11th century and also the 14th century, where they divided the world into, and they gave
economic zones.
Economic zones. Yeah. Thank you for that. Economic zones. You had the Portuguese that were given Africa, and then the Spanish were given South America. So that's where South Africa comes in. So Southern Africa was a colony of Portugal, which was under the Roman Catholic system. At the time, slavery was already introduced, and slaves were taken from Angola. They were taken from West Africa, in Central Africa. They were taken to America to work in the sugar
plantations.
Yes. So that's what we had. But now, you remember there was a Protestant Reformation. When the Bible speaks about this power, the beast, in 2 Thessalonians, it calls him the mystery of iniquity.
Yes.
It also calls him the wicked.
Yes.
Now, this is what I found to be very fascinating. In the book of Job, chapter 20, the Bible speaks there about the wicked, and the Bible says there, heaven shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. This is a revolution. When heaven reveals
who she is,
who the wicked is, and the earth rises against him. So that's what happened with the Protestant Reformation. Their work was to reveal the iniquity of the system. So when the iniquity of the system was revealed, the earth rose up. So in that Protestant, and the French Revolution came. That was a rebellion. So with the Protestant Reformation, they moved to Southern Africa as well with the Huguenots, and they settled in Franschhoek, in the southern tip of South Africa. So when they came with the Gospel Commission. However, they brought some of the principles and policies of feudalism to Southern Africa.
All right.
And they set up the economic policies of feudalism in Southern Africa. All right. So from there, the beast, which is Catholicism, has always been trying to penetrate Southern Africa. Because now they saw Southern Africa as the bastion of Protestantism. Yes. They sent the Jesuit missionaries, and they came as naturalists to study the plants in 1685.
All right.
They came, and Cecil John Rose, as time progresses, as I'm shortening this, came into the scene, and he was also aligned with the Jesuits. And they set up these centers of influence in Grahamstown, Hillview City.
I'm not worried when you talk about centers of influence. It's our new system we're having in the church.
All right. Yes. No, these ones were different. They were different. They were different. They moved to Zimbabwe, and Cecil John Rhodes gave the Jesuits the southern part of Zimbabwe, which was called Salisbury, and that was the province then. So from there, they've always been trying through revolutions, by inspiring revolutions through Hegelian politics, to gain control over the southern.
So you are saying there's a serious underworld operating even in Africa?
Yes.
But we don't get to hear a lot of this. When we talk of the mark of the beast and the two-horned beast, we always think of Europe and America. We never hear anything about its operations here. But I read the book of Daniel where it says, Daniel chapter 2, and they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. Those divided iron and clay nations of the end times, but they will not mingle one to another. And so it is important for us, I think, as children of this day and Adventist or Christians of the end time in particular, to understand these things. Now, let me close this interview with asking you very personal questions, perhaps just for our viewers out there to get to know your mind. If you were not to preach the gospel, what would you do?
I would die. I would die, honestly. I don't see anything else to live for.
All right.
There's no life outside of the gospel. When I say so, I have experienced that. And I've seen so. Compared to what I'm tasting now, comparing this with what I tasted before, I don't think there's life from where I'm coming from.
Wow. Wow. If you were to change anything in your experience, what is it that you would change?
The choices I made in the past. Because some of the things I experienced is because of the choices I made.
Okay.
If I could I would do that. Change.
So for related to that is, what are some of the lessons you would like to give to our viewers out there out of the things that you have gone through? What is it that the Lord has taught you in all of those experiences? Because that's so unique to you. Yeah.
There are many things I can talk about, but maybe I should start with...
maybe give us 2 or 3.
2 or 3,
yeah.
All right. Hardship. Hey, I can't stress that one. There are reasons why God subjects us to hardship.
All right.
I mean, there are, in the book, there's a book I mentioned earlier where I speak about poverty. There's 2 sources. Source number 1 is choice. Source number 2 is the environment.
All right.
You can't really change your environment from where you're coming from. And some of the things I've experienced is because of the environment.
Yes.
But within the environment,
there
are choices. If I had made these choices earlier, the choices I made now, if I had made them earlier, I'm sure I would have, I saved myself from a lot of heartache and pain. Yeah, so that's one lesson is don't allow the environment to define you.
All right.
Don't allow, Jesus Christ is coming from a similar environment, even worse.
Yeah.
However, even though he came from that environment, he was able, God was able to use him mightily and do great things for him and for the nation through him.
All right.
Yeah, so I think that is the key lesson I would give to the people. And also...
And obviously the fact that you have a choice. It doesn't matter what situation you find yourself. You still have a choice. All right. And second lesson? The second lesson is
the gospel invitation. I've met many people who say, I've been in the church for all my life and all of that. And in most cases, people who are new in the church are persecuted or rejected or something.
Yeah.
They seem to be too extreme and it's like they are vibrant and radical.
Yeah, yeah.
My point is, if you have not experienced the outside, you will not understand.
The danger.
You won't understand.
Yes.
There are things we know, for example, about African culture or African spirituality that we have experienced, that I personally have experienced. So for me, the lesson I'm bringing out is make use of the opportunities you have.
All right.
As you are finding yourself in the confines of the truth that is in the fold.
Yes.
Make use and allow the gospel to bring a transformation.
Amen. That's why you love Romans 1:16. I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ.
Not ashamed.
For it is the power of God unto salvation to them that believe, to the Jew first and to the Gentile.
The Gentile.
So that invitation still applies. We must never be familiar with the gospel or with the church. It remains a great, deep, expansive invitation that must engross every ounce of our energy and our resources. And you're saying that's the lesson you want to give to. What's the third one? Maybe let me indulge you there.
The third lesson is how do I put this one? Sure.
Ngayibeka nje even ngeXhosa.
Ngayibeka ngeXhosa or even in Afrikaans.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So the third lesson is the importance of assuming the talents that God has given us. They are talents, they are spiritual gifts.
All right.
Money is a talent.
All right.
According to inspiration that God gives us. Not everyone has it. The ones who have it, that's their talent.
Wow.
Which is to be used for the glory of God.
Yeah.
In my experience as a missionary, as an evangelist, I have witnessed missionaries living the gospel because of stomach politics.
Yes.
In the presence of affluent, rich brethren. I mean, they dedicate their lives for this.
Yeah.
So money is a talent. Money is not the only talent. Speech and other things are talents. The more we use it, I mean, the scripture says, so if you say money is a talent, if you look at the trade, the economy of money, according to that parable there, this man who did not trade the talent was regarded as wicked.
A wicked servant.
Wicked servant.
Wow.
So as you get money, it must grow.
Wow.
Find ways to grow it. That salary you have, find ways to grow it.
Yes.
So when I used to work full time, I never understood that principle, that money is a talent. The salary, it should not be limited to that. Create other streams of income.
Yes.
And the purpose of that is not for self-indulgence, but for the promotion and the propagation of the gospel to the world. So that's the key lesson. Make use of it, and God is going to give you more talents.
Yes. In fact, it always works like that. When you become efficient in using what you have. In fact, the parable you mentioned, the one who didn't use, it was taken away from them and given to the ones who were using it. So thank you so much, my brother, for coming through. Really appreciate the time we have. And I know there's more that we didn't even explore. I'm sure the Lord giving us an opportunity will do that again. So to our viewers out there, please do remember, go to End Time Publications on Facebook. We'll put the links right there. Get this book and get to read how your liberty of conscience is under threat and how the world is working around to close us into the net. But only those who believe in Christ and have made a covenant with Him through faith will get to know and be saved out of the trouble that's coming to us. Thank you so much. This is all we had on MelVee Talks for this week. Remember to like this channel, remember to subscribe, and also to share with someone. If you can, I would really appreciate it. Leave us a comment below. Tell us what you think about this discussion, and tell us what other people you would like to see or watch on MelVee and what topics you think we should cover. So thank you so much. Do enjoy your day. God bless you. My friend, thank you so much. You've taken your time to watch this video. You've been blessed. You've been wondering, how do we get to create such videos and share them to you for free? No. They are not for free, my friends. We do spend a lot of time, money, and equipment to generate these videos. And that's why I'm here to invite you, if you have not already done so, to subscribe to MelVee Broadcasting Network, particularly to join this YouTube channel and all our other platforms, and send us your donations. So please click the join button and send us your monthly donations. You can also go to PayPal. If you're out of Africa or wherever, you can send us your PayPal donation. Just go to the details that we're showing you down there and send us your donations on a monthly basis. Obviously, we also have a bank account. I've put the details right there. Send us your donations so that we can do these and many more projects we have of quality media products. We really want to use this platform to prepare you, your family, your friends, and your colleagues to be ready for the coming of Jesus Christ. He is about to come. And this is a small opportunity you and I have to use your blessing to bless us, that we may bless others. So God bless you as you consider sponsoring this ministry. MelVee Broadcasting Network is a divine voice out of Africa. God bless you.